This is an open meeting under section 19.81 to 19.98 of the Wisconsin State Statutes. You guys have last month's meeting minutes in front of you, except John and Ken weren't here, and we don't have enough people to otherwise approve the minutes. Correct?
1, 2, 3, 4.
So we're going to table that for now and move on to monthly staff reports.
Yes, numbers are up almost across the board since January of last year, highlighted by the membership, up a total of 16 memberships this January from last year. Some of those numbers, keep in mind, Chorus changed categories, so keep that in mind when you look at those. The golf simulator is also down from a year ago by probably a little more than half, I would say. The only thing I attribute to that is we now have competition in town for that. They had their grand opening, they had a big push, so I think that
Are there two now? Isn't there one on Main Street and one over by Walmart?
I'm not aware of the one on Main Street.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. I had heard about that one too,
Yeah.
but I don't know that that came to fruition,
Okay.
so.
Any questions on the reports, guys? All right, any communication or correspondence come in last minute?
None.
Okay, no old business, no appearances or public comments, new business administration. We have a recommendation on a contractor for the construction of the pickleball courts.
Yes, the 2025 capital improvement program budget includes $160,000 for the construction of standalone pickleball courts at Westside Park. This project was broken into a base bid of 4 courts with an alternate bid of 2 additional courts for a total of 6 courts. In February, that project went out to bid publicly. We had 4 companies submit bids, with the low bid coming from Poblocki Paving Corp. For $70,335.86, and that would be for 6 total courts. Poblocki Paving is a statewide company that has vast experience in multiple aspects of paving, including sports courts. The remaining funds will be used for site prep, which we'll be doing in-house. I estimate that to be about $15,000, give or take a couple $1,000 there. $1,500 for net systems, which we'll purchase on our own. Signage, roughly $4,500 there. And then if we have funds left over, getting a quote for fencing and starting the seating area project. So with that budget number, we are ahead of where I anticipated. One of the reasons I budgeted high, and I looked at my research, this is going to be pavement where the original was concrete. At the time, when I gathered those numbers, pavement and concrete were about equal in price, and now blacktop has come down. So with that, staff recommends approval of Poblocki Paving Corp. of New Berlin, Wisconsin, to complete the construction of 6 pickleball courts at Westside Park for a total cost not to exceed $70,335.86.
Randy, did you have a number in mind? For the concrete and the paving that you anticipated this coming in at?
I had anticipated over $30,000 per court is what I had estimated at.
So we're significantly under.
Correct, yes.
Under that.
Roughly 13,000, give or take, for that.
Okay.
So,
Any questions on the recommendation, guys?
Is there
What's the longevity between the concrete and the blacktop? Are we gonna get more, what are we looking at lifespan? When are we looking at end of life to replace or repair if we use concrete as compared to blacktop?
so as far as maintenance work, you can use the Willowbrook tennis courts as an example. which I believe are blacktop. So we look to refinish those roughly every 7 to 10 years, I believe, on average. Repainting kind of goes hand in hand with that. So that's what we're looking at.
And what are we looking at if we put concrete in?
Concrete, I would have to get back to you. I'm not sure what the longevity would be on that.
But is there a preference as the playing surface?
So we went through MSA. Jody Young, who was the interim city engineer, he admitted this wasn't his cup of tea, so he brought in Lucas. I forget Lucas's last name. Some of us might remember Lucas from the design of the Centennial Park Pavilion. That was his main guy. So he went to him. So as far as costs compared to what we'll be receiving, they went with the blacktop.
So I guess my question is, if we spend more on concrete, but we get 4 more years than we do blacktop, saving money now, spending it later, because blacktop and concrete are going to be more expensive 10 years down the road than they are now. So, I mean, I don't know either. That's why I'm asking if we spend a few more dollars now and we get, instead of 6 or 7 years out of the playing surface, we get 10 or 11, doesn't it make more sense to do concrete? I don't know. It could
Right.
be a wash. I have no idea. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I don't know how much concrete came down, if it came down at all, since I got these estimates roughly a year and a half, 2 years ago. That'd be something I would have to look into.
And I'm pretty sure I'm looking at, Scott, the base of the tennis courts is blacktop. So some people say that they can feel a difference between concrete and blacktop. But I know that's a surface for tennis courts. So I would think that pickleball, maybe, I don't know if that's a preference or not for outdoor courts.
All right, I want to get Joel. Joel next. Were you going to comment before?
No, I was just going to ask the same question, kind of where John was going.
Okay.
When it came down to, I was just thinking of longevity as well, or did we have the quote on it? And I think you're right, though. The two different surfaces, I mean, you're going to have a lot, I would say a little bit more give. Is going to feel a little bit different on the asphalt, especially running around, than it would be like on a concrete ground. So I would probably, as Scott said, I mean, most of the every tennis court we have in town is all asphalt, and we see what we're getting from there. I don't know if that would be, it'd almost come out to be, I would say the cement, we should get a lot longer life, I would say, than we would asphalt. But then again, it comes to the preferred playing surface and so on and so forth.
So without being an expert on it myself, that's where I felt comfortable having MSA be part of it. And that's their expertise, and that was what they were suggesting.
Ken, you had a comment?
No, I think these are good questions and the right questions to ask. I guess I'd lean into if our tennis courts are all asphalt. John's, point is a good one, but if our tennis courts are all, asphalt, and Scott's, been happy with it, and certainly Kate has a background in this. I mean, I'm only at 61, Randy. I'm just beginning my, my pickleball journey, but it certainly seems.
So I
like
got 2 more years
It certainly
before I have
seems,
to-
in a couple of years.
Okay.
No, I'll.
Okay, so
It certainly seems like an appropriate surface. I would
Rumor has it it's more quiet on asphalt than it is cement.
say. Oh, I know.
And I totally
Yeah, I
just
know
made
it's a
that
boat
up.
sport, yeah.
All right, Scott or Dan, anything to add
Doesn't
here?
make the
No, I'm
paddles more
very
quiet.
comfortable with the blacktop. Everything we've done has been blacktop, and I think
Okay.
tennis courts is preferred. We didn't even entertain cement when we did ours.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the concrete was, that quote, as I think back, it was a sport court, is what where I got that number from based off of their quote, and that's what their preference was to put underneath their product. So that might make a difference as well.
Now, and I can speak from a tennis standpoint that that is not a preferred court as the sport court. That all-purpose whatever is not.
And just to be clear, that's not a direction we're going with this. And I did reach out to the pickleball players that I have contact with, and their preference was not to have the sport court.
Correct. Tennis players would concur.
Okay.
And then Randy, at this time, there's no fencing around the courts?
There isn't, so it was budgeted in 2 phases. The first phase was just going to be the courts and the nets. Second phase would have included fencing. Now with the numbers I have budget to work with. I'm gonna go see what a number is for fencing, and if I did the fencing, I would do with the black vinyl cover, similar to what we have. I'm guessing you had done that too at the new tennis courts.
Yep.
So that would be something we'll be looking into. If we can get things done right away, that's our goal. Another part of this is the seating area, which would also been phase 2. I'm applying for another grant for that, because it's a social sport. The seating area will benefit other park users, whether it's the playground or I envisioned young families as they're watching baseball. Hey, I'm gonna let my kids tool around here. Now I got a place to sit in the outfield and watch the game where my kids aren't a distraction to everyone else. So yeah, that's all part of it, and that would be phase 2. But to answer your question, yes, fencing is something I'd be looking into right away.
Good.
Anyone else? Anyone care to motion on this one?
I move we approve Pablaki.
Motion to approve staff's recommendation by Dan,
I'll second that.
second by Ken. Any other comments or discussion? All right, all in favor of staff's recommendation to contract with Pablaki Paving for the cost not to exceed $70,335
$0.86.
and 86 cents. We have to get that in there. All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
You could have just grabbed Randy's glasses right there, Todd. Just.
Yeah,
It's a magnificent age.
right.
It really is.
All right, moving on to rec programs and activities. Mel's going to tell us about the Stuck at the Movies event.
So it was successful with 59 kids that attended our Stuck at the Movies event. It was on February 17th. We had 47 signed up beforehand and 12 at the door. Almost all the registrations came in after we announced what the movies were. So those movies included Green and Gold, Paddington in Peru, Captain America, Brave New World, and Dogman. So again, thank you to Schubert's Hartford Theater for letting us take over for the day and all the volunteers that came to help out.
All right, and we have a babysitting course coming up.
On March 29th, we have our only babysitting class of the spring. We did that on purpose just because last year we had to cancel one, so we kept it to one this year. We do have a full class. We have Shannon coming back to teach it, and we look forward to having another group of kids certified.
Did we talk about having a second class or no?
So last year we had 2. One of them got snowed out, added another one. So we ended up having 3. That one ended up not going because there were only like 3 signed up. So we kept it to 1 this year just because it just kind of seemed to be the trend. Usually in the summer is when we have the most. So we kind of more strategically put it this year on March 29th. So right now we might have 1 on the wait list, but we don't have too many to add a second.
All right, thank you. And then preschool fitness class.
Yeah, so this is a new program that we're starting with our intern Emma. This is pretty much just a youth fitness class with a couple stations doing basic movements, basic workouts such as push-ups, agility drills, squats, sit-ups, stuff like that. This is a program that we kind of presented to our intern Emma and let her run with it. She created a whole outline for 4 weeks of classes, 45-minute classes, just like the rest of our fitness classes, and I believe we are aiming for 4 to 6-year-olds for this. So this should be a pretty good class just to gauge some interest, get the young kids moving a little more, and hopefully get them started on a fitness journey.
All right, thank you, Zach. And we'll go back to Melanie for adult and youth sports. First up is youth ball registrations.
Youth ball just closed this last Monday for the original part of registration. We are more or less, we are running a little bit lower on 5-6T and rookie ball than we have in the past. But we do have 2 teams for minor, which is up from last year where we only had 1 team. We are gonna also run every single league this year, looking at numbers, so that's great. Last year, we did not have a fast pitch 12-14. And it's looking like at least 2 other, communities are gonna have a fast pitch 12-14, so we have a league to play in as well. So all that is really good news. Typically, we do get some late signups, so right now, we're kind of sitting at about 15 kids total less than we did last year, but overall, it's looking pretty good and consistent to what we've been doing the last couple of years.
And typically with registration, it kind of goes hand in hand with the weather, with the winter weather that we've been having. That also delays registration, especially with the younger families, the younger kids. Once the weather starts turning, we get in the high 40s next week. Sunny, some 50s, they'll start thinking about it, and those will start petering in. It happens every year, so.
Yep.
All right, and adult volleyball.
This spring, we ended up with 8 teams in our A League, but only 4 in our B League. A lot of them are continuing as they usually do. It started this last Monday. It'll end on April 21st, and it'll be a fun season.
Excellent. Saturday sports. First up is Pee Wee tennis.
We currently have 10 kids signed up. We still have a space for a few more to sign up for that. For both Pee Wee tennis and youth tennis, we are looking for new instructors. Our ones in previous years have gone off to college, so we have reached out to get some new kids in the door to teach our tennis. But right now, 10 is pretty strong for the Pee Wee, so.
And Pee Wee baseball.
So we also have youth tennis. Youth tennis, we have 5 signed up for that one.
Okay.
So, and then Pee Wee baseball, we have 9 signed up for Pee Wee baseball. We still have some space, but once again, it's a great way for kids to try out baseball. You never know, sometimes they sign up for our T-ball after that. Sometimes it's just to get kind of the skills kind of coming around for that summer season. So right now we are looking for a few more, but 9's pretty good.
Thanks, Melanie. Moving on to aquatics, we have staff report on vets and the staffing there.
Yeah, so initial returning staff numbers are looking better than I initially expected. I was planning on having none of our managers back this year and a whole new staff, but we actually have 2 returning. So that'll be nice to have. As of now, returning staff, we have 35 lifeguards who will be active at the outdoor pool, as well as 12 who are more of a sub-based and also our indoor pool staff over the summer. We have 6 concessions attendants coming back. All of our admissions staff are actually moving up to lifeguard or no longer returning. So those will be a whole new group of staff members there. And then we have 13 swim instructors as of now. And that's just returning staff members. I already have 20 applications in my desk right now for all positions. I believe there's 4 lifeguards, 3 swim instructors, and 13 attendant positions, whether it's concessions or admissions. So I think we've posted 1 flyer about it, the VMAC positions. So a lot of those were even before that. So interest is there. I'm running a lifeguard class in May, and Miss Hall at the high school is finishing up a class right now and has another one in the 4th term that I'm also helping with. So good numbers overall, looking good for the season.
All right, and the Hartford Family Aquatics Center, sponsored by the Lutz Family Foundation. We have swim lessons starting a couple weeks.
Yeah, so this will be the last week of the first winter spring session. And then on the 17th, which is next week, we'll start the second winter spring session. Classes overall are looking pretty good besides a couple higher level classes that are not quite full. That'll be the last session before our summer schedule starts, which will be released in the summer activity guide.
All right, and then you have 3 special swims coming up.
Yeah, so Tuesday, March 18th, during our open swim, 3:30 to 5:15, we will have Patty's Pool Party. Pretty much during this, we just have a little coins, almost to celebrate St. Patty's Day, spread around the pool that can be collected and turned into the guards for candy. It's pretty good for the kids to come and gets them a little bit of sugar before they go back home. So, and then March 21st, we have our March Madness event in honor of March Madness starting. It's just a mini basketball tournament, teams of 3 in the pool during our Friday open swim. It's filled the last 2 years, which is pretty fun. The head guards run it and make sure that everything's under control, because you know how basketball can get sometimes. But the prizes for that include day passes to the indoor and outdoor pool. And then Monday, March 24th and Wednesday, March 26th, we have our extra open swims. This is aimed around spring break for the high school and Hartford in general. And these are some of our most successful indoor open swims. The past 2 years, I know when I've gone in there during these open swims, it's packed. Typically, we have well over 100, I would say, for these special open swims. So we are fully staffed. That's always a slight concern with it being spring break, but we had no issue getting staff for this, so should be a good time.
Thank you, Zach. All right, moving on to parks. We have a park project report.
Yes, so staff's mainly been doing some tree trimming, tree removals. That continued into February here. We had a few snow showers and issues along with salting that we had done. Majority of the time was spent on the next 2 items coming up here. So,
Okay.
so update on the ice rink. We closed the rinks on Monday, February 25th, with the title of Until Further Notice. I think with the extended forecast, sun when it comes out at its level once we get into March, I don't foresee the rinks opening again, so that'll probably be it for the season. The mill pond was a great success this year. We were open 6 out of 7 weeks total. We had shut down for a week in between there where we had some warmer temperatures and some melting, but other than that, that's really good for a skating season. We had perfect weather where it got cold without the snow, because a lot of times you'll get the snow and then the cold, and the snow will insulate the ice, not allowing us to have thick, dependable ice. So we had that. We had overcast weather quite a bit. A lot of times, even in January and February, that sun and the sun angle, that could do some melting, especially if you get a leaf or something in there, that melts the ice. So we really did you couldn't ask for a better season. We hope that we can get even half that in a typical year would be nice. But to have 6 full weeks of skating was great to have. So we did pull the posts and the stairs from the mill pond, and like I said, I don't anticipate that opening back up anymore this year.
All right.
West Side Park.
West Side Park dugout update.
Yep. So we have received the donated materials from Zern Builders for the dugouts. The Parks crew has begun assembling the dugouts off-site in a building at the sewage treatment plant. I want to thank Dan Dentiste and the wastewater department for making room in one of their buildings and allowing us to utilize that space. Side note with that, we're out there because there isn't room for parks down at the DPW garage with everything they have going on, equipment coming in and out. So that's kind of why we find space where we can. So again, thanks to Dan Dentiste for that. And as I said, staff's putting together the dugout in sections. I was out there. They're making quite a bit of headway with that. And then they'll obviously transport these sections onto site once the concrete is poured. We did remove the existing concrete pads this week. Then also, staff is finalizing the purchase of a 4-foot rail wall to be installed on the front side of the dugout as a half wall that'll have black padding along it. And there will also be a safety net system approximately 2 feet in front of that wall to protect those in the dugout. The dugouts themselves are 30 feet long. The netting system will be 35, extending towards home plate to alleviate that gap where a foul ball can be hit into there. Obviously, time is of the essence. We know high school begins play, I believe, with a scrimmage on August 2nd for the JV, and then JV and varsity both have games the following week. We'll see where we're at leading into that first week of April, and we'll work with the high school. I'll let you know, set up some kind of protection or pseudo dugouts down the line to keep the kids protected. But I don't foresee this bleeding too far into April. Again, weather will dictate a lot. The equipment is on order. I expect it here towards the end of the month, and then we'll make it a priority for staff. And if we have good working days, we'll implement some overtime if need be to move this project along.
Any questions for Randy or staff? All right, before we move on, I want to go back. I want each of you to comment on last month's meeting minutes. Any need for a correction? Did you see any need for correction in there? Anyone? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve them.
I motion to approve.
Motion by Joel,
Second.
second by Kate. All in favor of approval of last month's meeting minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Those minutes are approved. And then, Sarah, I want to be sure that I gave the right figure for that bid approval. I want to make sure I said $70,335.86.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I thought maybe I said 79,000. All right. Good enough. Any commission requests tonight? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ken. Second. Second by Scott. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.